Trunking can do a little more than you may think it can. By the time we're done here, we will discuss various VLAN trunk usage and design scenarios. It's often said that experience is king. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have experience, you don't have anything. And that's not necessarily true. I know a lot of people with a lot of experience that never advanced their knowledge and are kind of stuck where they're stuck, right? You really need the combination of experience and knowledge together, which is what I would call wisdom. The ability to use knowledge that's relevant for that specific situation at the right time, right? This is what I'm trying to do in this video, is I'm trying to combine together the knowledge of trunking with a lot of the experience that I've had with trunking and a lot of the different situations that you can see trunking in. Some common, some a little more creative. My goal is to open your mind so that when you find yourself in that situation, you can gain the wisdom by combining the two together. You ready? So 4 scenarios. First one is this, segmenting the WAN. You will find in many cases, a lot of the wide area network providers are now giving Ethernet handoffs to where, regardless of whatever technology they're using here, Metro E, MPLS, ATM, I mean, blah, 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 all kinds of different WAN technologies that they can have. They're actually delivering them in the customer handoff as an Ethernet wall jack, and this cloud, this WAN, looks and feels like a normal Ethernet switch. In that, you can actually start using tags to dictate what connects to what within that cloud. And in this case, we're using Metro E. But I've seen many cases where companies grow and they keep adding more and more sites. And as the companies get bigger and bigger, the functions of those sites become very specific and isolated. One might be a central lead office for a region in Arizona. One might be a group of services or partner organizations. And you have a need to actually do segmentation in the wide area network. In that case, you can actually run trunking to each one of those sites. So let's just say we've got our headquarter router, and we've got all of these sites in Arizona, for example. Let's just say this is the Arizona region. All of these individual Arizona sites could come in on a tag that is only delivered and only reaches the headquarter router. Over here in Nevada, maybe this is the headquarters for Nevada, and there's all of these Nevada sites. Now technically, they're all plugged into the same WAN, and the beauty of that is we have the flexibility. If we need this site in Nevada to reach Arizona for some reason, we can do that. We can build up VLANs in the specific connections that we want, but we can use VLAN tags. Looking back at this diagram, we can use VLAN tags. So let's just say right here, I say I'm going to create fast. Now we would have a gigabit Ethernet, but gigabit Ethernet 0 dot. Let's just say 1,000, for example. Arizona is maybe gigabit Ethernet 0/1 dot 2,000 or something like that. And all of these are put in to that VLAN 2,000 over the Metro E. In so doing, we can actually have traffic isolation in our WAN. Even though everything can reach each other, it doesn't because we use VLAN tags to separate them. I've done this design many times for different customers, so trunking can be used to segment the WAN. Let's look at scenario number 2, wireless VLANs. This is done all the time. First and foremost, I want to make sure that you guys recognize there's 2 different kinds of wireless access points. There's lightweight wireless access points, and there's autonomous wireless access points. The lightweight wireless access points are a lot of times controller based, where you'll plug a controller into the network. Matter of fact, later on, another skill I'm going to create is going to be specific around setting up a controller and getting it to control some of these lightweight wireless access points in the network. Matter of fact, I've got 2 of them sitting right here that we're going to be setting up. So the reason I'm mentioning this is a lot of times people will have their wireless access points announce different networks. You might have a public network, right, where anybody can come in, like a BYOD device is allowed in there, because we want to isolate that from, let's just say, our corporate network. And maybe we've got another one here that's used for students, if this is a school, a student network where students in all their malicious ways can connect to our network. And we want to have them isolated from each other and isolated in our network. Well, with a wireless network, you create an SSID. One of them might be called public, that people will join. When you have that configured, each SSID is attached to its own VLAN. So I might say the public is actually VLAN 10. The corporate is actually, I'm just throwing numbers out there right now, VLAN 20. The students, they're going to be VLAN 40, let's just say, for example. So as the different devices join that VLAN, they will automatically have tags assigned to them. Now, the reason I brought this whole thing up, the lightweight and the autonomous access point, is where that tagging is done is dependent on the kind of wireless access model that you're using. If you're using autonomous wireless access points, then the tagging will be done right here between the switch and the wireless access point. So your trunk configuration will happen right there. If you're using lightweight wireless access, I said autonomous, right? So if this is autonomous, this is where your tag happens. If you're using lightweight wireless access point, well, they automatically establish a tunnel. It's actually known as CAPWAP. It's one of the most fun acronyms I like to use. CAPWAP tunnel, where it tunnels everything back from the wireless access point to the controller. And the controller is the one that puts it on the switch network. So that is where you need your trunk configuration there to allow your VLAN segmentation based on what SSID is joined. That's scenario number 2. Let's look at the next one. Scenario 3. Server virtualization. This is huge in the world. I would say any place that has a server will be doing server virtualization. It's one of those technologies that came out decades ago. And nowadays it's like, why would you do it? It's the ability to take one physical server and break it into multiple virtual servers, VMware, Hyper-V. There's a lot of free alternatives even out there that you can do server virtualization. And when you have that kind of environment, you can segment the individual virtual machines on that server onto different VLANs. So you have one connection coming here to the server, right? And on that server, you can create different virtual machines. Let's just say this is our file storage, right? This is our print server. This one right here is our application hosting, or maybe email, or whatever the different VMs are, right? Each one of those VMs can be assigned to a different VLAN. And then from there, you can actually set up a trunk connection going from the switch to the server so those tagged ports can come along. Matter of fact, on my computer, I use VMware Workstation. You ever seen that? Let me show it to you. Right here. I'm going to open it up. VM, there it was. Yep. VMware Workstation. I'm going to, as soon as it opens, drag it. There we go, right in the middle. You can see all of these different virtual machines that I have that are on my workstation. Now, this is not even a server-based platform, but watch this. I'm going to go to Device Manager. And even on a workstation, you can come into, like, for instance, right there's my VMware virtual adapter, right? That's there for the virtual machines. I can come in here and I can say, I want to set the VLAN ID for any traffic using this interface to X. Now, in VMware Workstation, I don't have as many features as I do on the server platform, like an ESXi server or something like that. On ESXi, you can actually do a virtual switch, and you can do all kinds of different VLANs rather than just assigning that individual interface to a VLAN. So server virtualization, scenario 3, happens all the time. Last scenario I'll throw at you, and I want to make sure as you see this is not all the scenarios that you have available. There are literally limitless design scenarios. There's always one of those things where I'm like, hey, we can use VLANs to do that, right? It's your ability to whip up a network whenever and wherever you want, and it's extremely common to use voice over IP VLANs to segment phones from computers. As a matter of fact, I just drew that completely wrong. Matter of fact, a lot of times what you'll see is the computers daisy-chained from the IP phone. Matter of fact, look at this right here. I'll give you a different view of this little shelf behind me. I actually have this phone sitting right here This is a voice over IP phone. It's functional. I can dial on any time. I can dial on it at any time. And on the back of this, you can see that I actually have two cables coming in. This one, the purple one right here, is my LAN connection. This blue one right here is the PC connection. The benefit of having that is tremendous. You can now have environments, buildings, to where you just have a single cable running to a conference room or to people's cubicles, rather than having double the cabling, double the connectivity, double the switch, double, right? You can just daisy chain it from that one device. But you don't want the computer and the phone to be on the same VLAN, because there's already all kinds of tools out there where you can capture packets from the phone and convert them to MP3 files, and you can hack the phone system, right? You don't want that. So what we can do is we can literally, on this single port, set up voice VLANs. Now, the official word from Cisco is they will say it's not a trunk, right? And I want you to remember that. It's not a trunk. If you ever are posed with that question by anything Cisco, it's not a trunk, but it's a limited trunk. What it is it's a trunk that only allows a single tagged VLAN to go across. That's the VLAN that goes to the phone, because the phone has the ability to tag its traffic, right? It comes in and says, hey, I'm going to be on VLAN 20, right? The computer has no idea what it's doing. It's just a computer. It's plugged into the phone. It's getting a network signal. So whatever traffic it sends will be untagged, right? It used to be, back in the day, gray coming into my goatee. Back in the day, we used to have to set up our VLANs that go to the phones as a trunk port with allowed VLAN, just the one. You just allow the one, and then you would set the native VLAN. Do you remember what the native VLAN is? The untagged VLAN. Whenever you have a trunk, you always have the native VLAN, which is for untagged traffic going across that. Well, when we would set this up back in the day, and I'm emphasizing back in the day, we would configure it as a trunk port that only allowed one VLAN, and the native VLAN would be the VLAN that would be assigned to that computer. Let's just say VLAN 30. Well, they've automated it quite a bit nowadays, to where now you can log into that switch, go under the switch port, and the command. Matter of fact, you know what? I've got a router running right now. So it's a router with a switch module installed. Let me show you something. Here we go. This is the benefit of having a router with an Ether switch module installed. I'm going to do a show IP interface brief. Let's just go under interface fast Ethernet 000, because this is the switch inside. I can type in switch port voice VLAN, and then I can type in whatever VLAN I would like for the voice traffic. What this does is automatically configure that port in such a way that it will have the tag traffic be that voice VLAN. This is why Cisco says it's not a trunk port. It is. It's just a trunk port that only allows that one VLAN, and they've got some other security stuff surrounding it to make sure that you plug in a phone, and that's the time it will deliver that VLAN across. That being said, scenario 4, voice over IP VLANs, you will see it all the time. And that's it. 4 scenarios that I hope whet your taste buds a little bit on what you can do with VLANs and trunking. It's not limited to that. There's tons of different scenarios that you can use this for. I just wanted to present 4 of them that are used all the time in the real world that go way beyond this simple switch to switch trunk mode. Hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.